Nice to see you, everybody. So this is my first video on Dice2cu2cu dice for an absolute, almost a decade. I'm now retired. I've now got my little man cave, and I'm now looking to play lots of war games, and on occasion post some, should people like them. Well, if they don't like them, I'll still perhaps post them. It is what it is. So today I'm looking at a game that I'm playing next Saturday. Today is a Saturday, something of April. Oh, I'm gonna keep going. But next Saturday, the 3rd of May, Toone is coming up to fight his Normans against my Scots. Now, in the bottom part, you can see my Scots, which I'll go through in a minute. But for now, in the far distance is Dan's army. I asked him to bring Normans, and for some strange reason, I've gone for Scots. So it has been a very busy fortnight, tidying up and rebasing a lot of my collection, and some models that I've got from friends and gamers, two of which unfortunately have died in the recent years. A big shame, because I would be playing them. But unfortunately, the world is what it is, and we've lost two very, very good people, very good friends, and that is sad. But anyway, we'll move on from that. So opposite there is a Norman army, and this is a reconstruction of what Dan's list is. He kindly sent me his list because I've not played it before. So he said, look, let me send you a list. Now, to be fair, I had made my Scots list in its fundamental form before he did this. And he has given me the option to tweak it. Now, whether I do or whether I don't, we'll see between now and next Saturday. But I'm going to try today, perhaps not on camera, but I'm going to try today to learn how the rules work, and whether the Scots stand any chance. We will see. So one of the things that the Norman army brings is quality troops with much better armour protection. And I'm a great believer in it's like football, really. Defence comes first. You score goals if you can. And this is very much what this Norman army feels like to me. It's an army that is resilient and sustainable. And I'm going to struggle, I think. But that's part and parcel of learning. I wouldn't have put this test on the table if I wasn't prepared to do this and learn. So what Dan has got, he's got 3 units of milites. So you can see there's 2 on the left of this picture and 1 on the right. So there's 1 unit of 10 and 2 of 8. In the middle, he has 2 formed units of sergeants, thrusting spear, throwing weapons, javelins, light armor, light shield, large shield. Sorry. Now that gives them a 4-up armor. They are those 5 units. The milites with cavalry, spears, and armor 3 is amazing. So it's basically they get an armor 4, but because they've got large shields, they get an extra armor save. So they're saving on a 3, and the guys in the middle are saving on a 4. Now, when we look at the Scots, you'll see a save. Well, it'd be nice to have one. Well, we do have some, but certainly nowhere near that league. So I think, even though Dan's only got 5 battle formations there, I think it's going to be a tough battle for the Scots. What we see in the front row is we have a unit of Coteru, which are mercenary javelin men with mixed weapons. That's the unit just literally in front of the book. Very good. There's no armour on them, but they are good quality troops. Leadership 8. And in this, by the way, leadership high is good. Sorry, rolling high is good. High leadership is bad because you've got to roll high. All right, we'll see how this video gets on. See how many mistakes I make, but I'll perhaps just leave it anyway. So the leadership of his troops is either 8 or 9 for his archers and the skirmish types, and the sergeants. The milites, of course, are leadership 7, which is better. Now, what he does have, and I'm using the standard next to the book. That's the double base cavalry. Next to the book is a Duke. The one in the middle with the Madonna picture is going to be William the Conqueror, and the one to the right of him is just a Duke, and to the right of that is Bishop Odo. I perhaps need a better model for Bishop Odo, but he does look like a priest anyway. So this is just a mock-up. Dan's going to bring his own army, and it'll look correct, I've no doubt. So that gives him a quite strong leadership. It gives him 7 command points. William's got 5. No, sorry, more than that, because he's got 2 dukes. So William's got 5 command points. Bishop Odo's got 1. Each duke has got 1. And so that's 5, 6, 7, 8 command points. Command points are critical in this game because as you do your normal moves and your normal charges, it's command points that give that leadership bonus that can just give the element of success should you be lucky. Now we'll go through the Scots in a minute, but on the whole, that's quite a good force. So he has 2 units of armoured crossbow in the middle. Now they there's only 8 in each, but they don't suffer any minuses to wound at long range, which is an interesting way of doing crossbows, and that's quite important. And they're armour 5. Armour 5. The Scots would love armour 5. And to the right of them is a unit of Liberi archers, and there's no armour on them, but they've got bows, 24-inch range, I believe, and there's 14 of them. That's quite a powerful little punch in that Norman army. Okay, so for now I'm going to pause, move across, and let's look at the Scots. So here we have the Scots army, and what you see there is 5 blocks of 24 thrusting spears. Now they have no armour, but they do have shield, and they have shield wall. Now that's going to be quite important. Now I wanted to give them javelin, and I still could, but if I do, I'm going to have to take a unit out because there's just not the point to do it. So what I opted for was to take the javelin out of those units, rely on my skirmishers to protect them and do the shooting. But the 2 units of cavalry behind, one of which is mounted Thanes, and that's my best unit with armour 6, and the mounted warriors, who have no armour but they do have shield, and the armoured Thanes obviously, the mounted Thanes obviously have shield. They both have javelins. So to some degree, what it means is perhaps the Scots have got to be aggressive. They've got to close. They've got to try and nullify the shooting from the Norman force and just get stuck in. This is not a time to mess about. They do have throwing weapons. Now I could have given them javelins, or I could have given them throwing weapons. Now throwing weapons are important because when you charge or are charged, you can throw your throwing weapons to try and take some casualties off before the combat starts. And if the Scots foot can take out just 1 or 2 models from the charging Normans, even with their better armour, that could be quite critical. We know the Scots are going to lose lots of numbers, but the question is, can they actually stand up to a charge, and can they win? Can they survive a more sustained combat, one that lasts over 1 or 2 turns? If they don't, it'll be a very quick game. So there are 3 units of levy, 2 with bow and 1 with light crossbow. Light crossbow only has a 12-inch range, but the Scots, they're picks. They've got to have some light crossbows. Why not? So I think the Scots have got a challenge. Now, who have they got for heroes? So we've got Macbeth, to be or not to be. Oh, sorry, but it has to be. We have to have him in there. And so the Scots have got 8 command points, because again, command points are going to be critical, especially if the Scots are going to attack and try and get the additional move to get in stuck in. If the Scots sit around, they'll just get chewed up. So it's quite important. So we've got 8 command points. What we have is we have Macbeth with 4 command points, and he gives a +1 to order score for leadership tests. So that's quite important. that for re-rolling leadership tests. I think the Scots are going to need that. The problem is the Scots foot are mainly 9+. I could have had them as 8+, but it's just about points. The points don't stretch very far indeed. Now it's always whenever you play these games, the question is, are the points allocations fair? Do they actually correlate to the game on the table? I don't know yet. But I do remember once when talking to Rick Priestley about Hail Caesar, which I play a lot, and at the time the club I was with, Phoenix from Rushden, did a lot of demonstrating at Salute and Kelmarsh for Hail Caesar. So I was lucky enough to get to talk to Rick a few times in those years. And he said, you don't always have to use points to illustrate a differential for a unit. Sometimes there are other ways, and you see that clearly demonstrated in Hail Caesar, and also in another game I like to play, which is War Master. So we will see. So what we've got Macbeth, we've got a Saggart, which is a priest. We have a nobleman who's mounted. He's going to go with the mounted thanes to give them some boost. He's got a command point there. We'll see if that comes in as critical. I have an army standard, which is inspirational. I'm not 100% sure whether that's the best use of points, but we will see. And then I have a chieftain, who will again go into one of the foot units to bolster them. Leaders give a +1 to the leadership score. So it's quite important, especially when I've got leadership 9, getting them down to leadership 8 with a attached leader, I think is quite important. So there we go. So I'm now going to spend the day playing around with these rules, see what I can learn before next Saturday. And if I think the game's going to be quick, I might well design another army, perhaps a Viking army, just to see the difference. So what have I done to the table? So I'm just going to move this up, and apologies for moving around. But so one of the things I've thought about the Scots need to try and narrow the frontage. Or do they? Well, I think they do. So the cavalry need to play out on the flank, and the foot need to come herring forward. No messing around, and sit on shield wall and hope that the Normans charge them. But one thing the sergeants have that the Scots don't is javelins. So the missile power of the Normans, they could just sit back if they want to. So it may be that that's a luxury the Scots don't have. So what I've done is I've just mocked up a potential table, a river on one side. I'm just going to move these pieces of paper out of the way. Sorry about that. So a river on one side. That didn't work, did it? A river on one side with some crossing points. So let's just look at the river. So you can play rivers in many ways, but you'll see that in this I've gone for an impassable river except at 4 points. So the two islands on the extreme left and extreme right, they count as fords. You've got a little footbridge, which obviously is a crossing point, and then you've got a ford. So there are 2 crossing points on either side, and that tributary, well, we'll just count that as passable. It's a small tributary going in, although it looks the same size. So the idea there is the Scots need to protect a flank and operate on the other. There's a hill hidden there. I had to move it for the camera, but that will come back in. There's a hill here. I mean, what we actually end up with next week will be down to Dan. And on the side we have an impassable pond, some cornfield, which counts as cover, and then a wood. I normally play woods with a generous 2-inch gutter. That means you can see 2 inches in, but after that you lose line of sight. So I think line of sight is quite important in the game. Tactical play is critical. So there is a side shot of the armies, and right, I will go now, and I'm going to roll some dice. Dice to see you, everybody. So I thought I'd do a bit more. How would you deploy these 2 armies? So if we look at the Normans, I've put, because of the river, and perhaps, it's my idea to put a river. How Dan would play it, I don't know. So I'll put the archers on the right flank. Let's just move a bit closer. Sorry about the wobbly camera. I've put the sergeants and the crossbow in the centre. A reserve of milites with William actually on the right hand side. The main reason being because he's got two dukes, so I'm assuming as they're mounted they'll go on with the milites. So they're kind of like on the left hand side, and the Cotteroo, the light javelin men in the woods, just to try and mess up the Scottish skirmish line. So that's I think that's quite a powerful deployment. If we look on this side, what the Scots going to do? So I'll put the light javelin, the light crossbow on the other side of the river, there to go and try and annoy as much as possible those archers. Whether they last long is another matter. There's not a lot of cover for them to sit in. And then I've put the Scottish cavalry on the right flank, supported by some archers, and then the foot just slap bang in the middle, following up the line of the river. So I don't know how you would have deployed. We'll see. So there we go. That's an angle there. Please forgive all the rubbish. This is a garage and a man cave, so there is clutter around.